cover a number of things, including the quantum communication side, so that all Craig's answers.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Dr. Natarajan. I'm working in University of Bristol in quantum engineering technology labs. So basically I focus on quantum communications. So my background, I worked as a cyber security consultant for 10 years, then last 5 years I'm working in quantum cyber security. So mainly focus on quantum communication stuff. So let me give another dimension what we explained about the quantum computing as a computer science perspective, how the quantum computing works. So the quantum computing is fundamentally different from the classical technology because this way it operates is different. It uses the quantum mechanics to process the bits and pieces. That's called qubits. So if you understand how the classical system works, it's like a binary zeros and ones, yes or no, on or off. But in the quantum, it's an abstract. You can mention both state in a one single bit. How come it possible? That's where the quantum computing promises. So for example, if you take a simple example, probabilistic example in your mathematics, it's like tossing a coin, flipping a coin. So if you flip a coin, it has head and tail. So if it lands so we can get either head or tail in a classical state. Either the coin is head or tail. But in a quantum computing, beauty is when you toss a coin, when it spins, it can be the quantum computing measures its spins. In that state, the physics says we can measure the spin state. Either it is a clockwise spin or anti-clockwise spin or at the position. With this, so understanding the uncertainty, people are measuring it a qubit. So if you toss 2 coins, then you can get 4 positions. If you toss n coins, you can get, so it's exponentially growing, so that you can represent the information using n number of ways in exponential complexity. That's where the quantum. But making it using the physics, how we are going to achieve this, that's a challenging part of it. That's where the quantum computers are facing a challenge, when how the photons are used to represent the uncertainties and how come we are going to cool off the photons. There are a lot of physical complexities. But the theory says when you are able to measure the uncertainties, you can go exponentially grow the bit patterns. So by coming to the quantum communication part of it, so in UK past 5 years, UK government is heavily investing for that. Almost 240 millions were invested in the quantum communications alone, and then government formed a consortium for quantum communications, including University of York, Cambridge, Bristol, and Oxford. There are n number of universities were involved in this quantum communication project, because the quantum has many applications like quantum sensing, quantum computing, quantum communication, and quantum imaging. But why we need to give importance to a communication system is because we have a lot of cyber security issues, challenges that we face every day because of the quantum computers emerging. So we may face little more challenge to secure our data. It's not now, maybe under 5 years or 10 years or down the line, how we are going to secure our future data as well. So you may ask question, still the quantum computer is not yet arrived, why I need to concern about the security issues? So my first answer would be, what if the hacker copies your encrypted data and he decrypts once the quantum computer arrives? Then our data will be, so what about financial transactions? We don't know whether we can copy those encrypted data, then he may decrypt it after the quantum computer arrives, or whether the breaking. So it may be challenging for us to secure a data for now and then. So that's where the quantum communication and secure quantum communications is playing an important role. So in that quantum communications, what we primarily focusing is the quantum cryptographic part, wherein there are 2 parties can securely communicate. So the cryptography, if you look at the classical cryptography, the main strength of the cryptography is cryptographic keys, when the key is used to encrypt and decrypt the data. So these classical keys are, there are different theories and explanations about it's a private key crypto systems and public key crypto system. Private keys only the same key used for encryption, decryption, and public key is like encryption is a different key, and decryption is a different key. So currently, according to the government standard, RSA 1024 bit keys are used to more secure for all the data. But the challenge now is, what if the quantum computer comes to decode your information or hack those keys? How we are going to secure those environment? That's the challenging part now. So what the quantum communication offers, the solution is, you can generate, both parties can generate a key securely without intervention of hacker. So that's what the quantum cryptography promises. So let me explain with the example how this Alice and Bob can secure a key. So Alice can, there are two different protocols were involved in now. It's like prepare and measure, and another one is entanglement based protocols. So like Alice can prepare some photons, like as an uncertainty photon flipping points, it's rolling, going there in the Bob. Bob can capture those photons and generate a bit pattern. So they execute a software algorithms to generate a key. So what the beauty of this communication is, if someone tried to capture or listen this communication link, it immediately the photon state changes. Since it's spinning, we try to measure it or try to copy the photon state changes. So once the photon state changes, the communication gets error in the other end. That's what they call as no cloning theorem. So where there is a solid physics background, because someone disturbs your communication channel, immediately you get to know that something is going on. So that's what the people theory is called as a provably secure communication channel. So you can, it is an unconditional future-proof communication channel between Alice and Bob. So no one cannot enter in this communication channel. So another beauty of this thing is, so you can store the key insecurely and process it for n number of nodes. In the reality, now as the gentleman mentioned, we have deployed a quantum network channel between Cambridge and Industrial Park in BT head office. It's almost a 125 kilometers length fiber channel. They call it a national dark fiber, wherein the photons are sent. So the main challenge now is the amount of loss for these photons arrival. So we have almost 80 dB loss from the 100 kilometers. That's the main challenge, practical challenge now the scientists are facing now. So, and also at the end of 2020, UK government is planning to establish a quantum test bed, which is from Cambridge to central London, from central London to Reading, Reading to Bristol. So there is a quantum dark fiber is going to establish by the government. This is going to open for test bed for all. So what I am saying is, it's going to be a reality in near future, at least in the quantum communication space, is kind of good, because since the government is more concerned about the data and the security. And there are, if you see the companies across the world, not only in UK, US and then Europe, so already they deployed the solutions for some of the government. Recently they got a voting with the quantum secure environment, and US there are some couple of banks, they were trying to implement these quantum solutions. Still it is in the primary stage because the hardware is not mature, and the amount of loss, the cost involved in these solutions are a challenging one, but near future it may come to closer. But there was a recent study in market and market research. It says around 2025 going to be a 500 million US dollars investment in this particular area across the government side and the private side. So what I'm saying is, not to conclude this quantum communication stuff, when we say the amount, the cost involved in this particular is either a tangible or intangible outcome about the quantum communication. When you want to secure the environment, or you want to build some branding, we are the first company quantum empowered, secured the company, for example. The data is very important for the financial, everywhere the data is heavily need to be secured, personal data or organization data. So the communication is going to be a vital part of it. So when it will come, the question is when it will come, reality is scientists are heavily investing their time to bring the cost down and improve the performance. When the difference between the classical technologies and the quantum technologies is nullifiable, the cost and the effort. So definitely the question of security. So of course the study shows in the next 5 years down the line, this quantum communication is going to come for reality. So we are stopping. So if you have any questions.
Yeah.
How easy it is to start researching on quantum computing?
Quantum computing.
How easy it is to set up start with it with some genius?
Yeah, so so there are two different categories. If you want to start like software or quantum hardware, the quantum hardware is a separate field. It's like a optical research, optical technologies. What it deals with all optics and photon stuff. The other layer is algorithms. So the algorithms that you're going to run in your quantum computers or the communication protocols. So there are two categories up to whatever, if you are strong in the theory and the hardware manufacture, so they can do that in the hardware level or in the software space. What are the softwares is going to impact in our quantum computers and the communication systems. You can research on the quantum software side. Based on our knowledge, if we are focusing on whatever the scope is.
I think your point is, it's more of an observation I'm going to make rather than a question. But in order to get the power of quantum computing to be able to work across a network,
Yeah.
you need quantum communication.
Yeah.
And on the encryption and decryption side that you're talking about, my understanding,
Yeah.
please correct me if I'm wrong, is that if any attempt is made to interfere with the photon transaction through the dark fiber
Yeah.
and through the repeaters and amplifiers, if there's any attempt to tamper with it at all, the entire communication is destroyed. Is that correct?
Yes. So if someone disturbs the quantum channel, definitely you won't be able to generate a key.
Possible to get the message
Yeah. So
through.
there are some different alternative solutions. Even the China recently launched a quantum satellite, so the satellite communication is very easier there. Even UK, there are space program with UK. There is a company called Arcade. They're going to start a quantum satellite, so wherein you can distribute the keys with using the help of quantum satellite. There will be a receivers on the mountain, receives the photons and generate the keys and distribute to the local areas.
Conversely to what we have currently, which is packets traveling across copper fiber and optical cables,
Yeah.
if anybody attempted to fiddle with those, it just gets repeated and keeps getting sent, right? But if you tamper with it once, on the quantum com side,
Yeah.
it's completely destroyed. Start again, right?
It's not one packet mistake. There are some error bounds when
I didn't
you
even know there was a concept.
yeah,
of
there is
packets,
bounds.
actually.
So it's not. There was a certain level of tolerance where the maximum loss we can generate a key. Even if someone hacks a couple of packets in between that, removing those packets, still you can generate a key certain amount of key. There was a threshold for that. If the attacker is almost 50% steal the data, then we are going to destroy those communication channels. So there are some theoretical bounds, even the practical bounds to capture the photons in other end. And if we are a level of tolerance, we can run some of the algorithm called privacy amplification is the one. So you can run those crypto protocols, and then so all I'm saying is the quantum cryptography is not independent. It is mixed with classical crypto system. Still authentication, we need to use a classical crypto system. It's kind of hybrid model wherein you can deploy it to your solutions.
So your particular activity is focused on the center of excellence,
Mhm.
actually being able to do the back-end communication, quantum to quantum, right?
Yeah. So basically,
That's
there
a
are
really
some solutions.
fundamentally important thing
Yeah.
is that these computers can actually talk to each other over a great distance. A bit like we can get internet now.
Yeah.
Broadband at home,
Yeah.
in the lay sense.
Yeah.
We've got a router in our box at the house.
Yeah.
We're going to need to be able to do that to get this computing power deployed.
Yes. So there are some alternative solutions wherein you can generate the key and store it somewhere, and you can use the key as a service model to get the key whenever you need and encrypt your data and send it to. So there's different business models available.